Welcome back. Interesting questions. This comes from Dark Five Mysteries. Um, like I said, I don't watch these videos. I watch them with you. So, this is an interesting one. Um, it um, it deals with giants. So I just, you know, artifacts left by ancient giants. Um, so I'm very intrigued by giants. Excuse me. They exist in the Bible. So the Bible talks about giants, and the Bible talks about Babylon. It talks about a lot of ancient societies um, that actually existed. So you know, um, I perceive the Bible as like kind of a historical reference. Um, I'm not a very religious person myself, but I think there are historical references in the Bible. So, um, giants do exist in the Bible. They talk about the Nephilim. They talk about angels, you know, or demons. I guess how one aspect or one spectrum, how they perceive the other, um, is that because there's good and evil. Angels are good. Demons are bad. But that angels or demons, whatever, came down to earth and they mated with women and their offspring became giants. They were considered the Nephilim in the Bible. Um, so, but they say there's evidence of ancient giants. I would love to see it, and I'm sure you would love to see it too. So, um, without further ado, um, let's go ahead and get to the Giants video because I'm as curious as you are because this is what I want to see. So if there's proof, I want to see it just like you do. Like I said, this video is provided by Dark 5 Ancient Mysteries.
Land of Giants.
Shout out to them.
Due to a host of incredible archaeological discoveries about its former inhabitants, the Italian island of Sardinia has been referred to by many as the Land of the Giants. In March 1974, a local farmer was plowing his fields on the island's western coast when he stumbled across a large statue fragment that would lead to 8 years of archaeological excavations and investigations. In all, archaeologists recovered more than 5,000 pieces of carved sandstone. They set about reconstructing the pieces and soon realized that they were assembling an army of stone, as these statues were representing boxers.
I seen these on Ancient Aliens, and the crazy thing about these like they were huge. To my understanding, like they were really big. Like these were really big structures. These stone statues were like really big.
Archers and warriors. Up to 44 individual statues have been found. However, most astounding is not their numbers, nor the identity of their creators, but their sheer scale. These stone giants measure up to 2.5 meters in height, and some weigh up to 400 kilograms in their fully reassembled form. Equally impressive is their anatomical precision. Despite being more than 8 feet tall, the geometric details, particularly of the faces, have been meticulously carved. The eyes, for instance, consist of perfect concentric circles, which has led many to describe them as alien in appearance. It has been determined that the giants are carved from local sandstone and that they likely date back to around 3,000 years ago. Many have claimed that the discovery of these stone giants, known as the Giants of Monte Prama, lends weight to theories of ancient astronauts and alien intervention.
I have an interesting question because that's what this show's about. Interesting questions. We find a lot of these megaliths, like ancient societies, and they're like, yeah, they're all 3,000 years old. like that, like they all kind of like just coincidentally, yeah, about 1,000 years before Christ. But I don't know. I find that odd that's how like archaeologists and scientists just kind of just dismiss all this stuff. Yeah, it's 3,000, 3,500 years old. Um, I'm gonna call BS on a lot of this stuff because I think there's so many of these structures and they exist all over the world. We find them everywhere, all over the earth. Pyramids, all kinds of stuff. In polygonal structures in Peru. We cannot explain these things, people. We don't even know how they built them. We can't even reproduce them now. So we what? Probably about 3,000 years old. I'm sorry, but I would say a lot of these structures, and I keep going back to this, and I agree with Graham Hancock on a lot of these things. We are a species with amnesia. A lot of these structures were built like a pre-flood age. That's probably somewhere around 10,000 years ago. So these structures could probably be 11 or 12,000 years ago, because everybody, it's not a coincidence that everyone on every continent on this planet was building everything in stone. And the Bible even says, build your house on the rock. It says that. And like I said, I'm not a biblical scholar. I'm not even a religious person. But why does the Bible say, I remember my dad always saying that, build your house on the rock? Because that's what people did probably 12,500 years ago. They built their structures in stone. They didn't deal in haywood and stubble. They built their structures in stone because they knew they would last thousands and thousands of years. That's my 2 cents. You disagree with me? Leave a comment below.
Originally placed as guardians over the graves of prominent Iron Age Sardinians, the giants stood guard for just a few hundred years before invaders smashed them into the 5,000 fragments recovered. Further adding to Sardinia's association with giants are the many vast graves known as Tombs of the Giants, because they contain burial chambers that can be up to 100 feet long and 8 feet tall. Archaeologists have claimed that these graves were built so large to accommodate numerous bodies. Still, local legends suggest that they were created for a race of gigantic men who once inhabited the island, and some even claim that giant bones have been found in them, far larger than any human. A local painter and sculptor named Luigi Muscas was interviewed about his recollections of discovering some of these bones, including skeletons apparently measuring 13 feet in height. He described the discovery of one particular giant skeleton in a cave when he was a child in 1972. According to Muscas and several other locals, the skeletons, when found and reported to authorities, would almost always mysteriously vanish by the following day. Tales of Magellan.
There was a conspiracy theory about the Smithsonian covering up giant bones. I think it was in like in Minnesota or something like that. But yeah, I remember hearing about that. The Smithsonian was covering up giants.
Ferdinand Magellan was a Portuguese explorer who led a 1519 expedition to the East Indies across the Pacific Ocean. This expedition earned him great renown, but would ultimately claim his life. Magellan's records show that when he and his crew were exploring the coastline of South America, they witnessed something truly astounding, something which would alter European perceptions of the Americas for centuries. The official record of the expedition states, quote, One day, we suddenly saw a naked man of giant stature on the shore of the port, dancing, singing, and throwing dust on his head. The Captain General sent one of our men to the giant so that he might perform the same actions as a sign of peace. When the giant was in the Captain General's and our presence, he marveled greatly, and made signs with one finger raised upward, believing we had come from the sky. He was so tall that we reached only to his waist. The Patagonian giants were dubbed the Patagon by the crew, a name inspired by a giant-like character featured in a 16th century Spanish novel popular at the time. Magellan's encounter with the giant was to be supported by numerous accounts made over the following years. By these accounts, the Patagon were proportioned
I've never
as
heard
humans,
this story
but
before.
could be as tall
So
as 13 to 15 feet. A later expedition, led by Sir Francis Drake,
I know
described
who
the unusually
Magellan
tall
is,
people of
but like
Patagonia,
I said, I've
stating
never
that,
heard
quote,
I've never heard this
Magellan
story
was
before.
not altogether deceived, but that the crew estimated the height of the locals to be 7.5 feet. Modern science and archaeology have sought to rationalize the existence of these giants, and to understand how so many first-hand accounts could have described such a colossal people. One convincing photographic report from the late 19th century even depicts an Ona Patagonian man standing approximately 7.5 feet tall. Some have dismissed the claims as hoaxes or exaggerations. Still, with so much evidence in agreement that there
Well, I mean, indigenous people in Central America. I mean, even Mexico. I mean, the average height of someone in Mexico was 5'8", maybe 5'7". And I hear it's even shorter in Central America. I think Denmark. I don't know if it's I think it's Denmark. Denmark, I think the average height is like 6'3" or something. Um, Nordic people are like I think the tallest people on the planet. So that Magellan was saying that he saw these people kind of in like Central American region. I seems kind of odd to me considering that they may be not the shortest people on earth, but maybe on average on the shorter end of people on earth. So
did in fact exist a race of unusually tall people living in Patagonia, it's entirely plausible that there may have been some truth in it. Giant skeletons. Some of the strongest evidence for the existence of giants comes from the fact that, since the development of archaeological technologies and methods, there have been several accounts of giant bones being found that could not have belonged to a human of normal proportions. Off the coast of England lies a small tidal island known as St. Michael's Mount, which is host to a castle and a small number of dwellings. According to legend, in the 6th century, before the castle was built, the island was home to an 18-foot giant named Cormoran, who terrified the locals until he was slain by a farmer's son named Jack. This gave birth to the fairy tale of Jack the Giant Killer. While discoveries made in the caverns beneath the castle on St. Michael's Mount may not suggest that it was ever home to an 18-foot man, it is agreed that the skeleton of a man measuring 7 foot 8 inches in height was discovered by monks in 1725 behind a door which had been blocked off. Another account of a giant skeleton discovery dates back to 1890, when 3 bone fragments were discovered in France by Georges Lapouge, who estimated that the person to whom these fragments belonged must have been approximately 11.5 feet tall. With more than double the mass of normal human bones, and belonging to an individual dubbed the Giant of Castelnau, the fragments were discovered in a Bronze Age burial site and are the only such bones of their size. The bones are said to have been sent to the French Academy of Sciences for study, where they mysteriously disappeared. While real evidence of giant skeletons is largely lost, archaeologists continue to uncover extraordinarily
I think it's easy to dismiss, to just say, "Oh, we had giant bones." Oh, then some group came along and well, then they just disappeared. It- I'm not saying that it didn't happen, and I'm not saying that they didn't find giant bones. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is it's just an easy way out to say, oh, we had something, but someone took it away from us. And that's where you get conspiracy theories from, unfortunately. And I'm not saying that conspiracy theories don't exist. I 100% do believe conspiracy theories exist. But the problem is when these people had these bones, why didn't you take pictures of them when you had them? And in comparison, hold the bone. I would hold, an arm bone up to mine, or a pelvic bone up to my pelvis to say, well, they took those bones from me, but I got the pictures to prove that they exist. That is vital when you're in that situation. Take pictures of that. It's sort of like, hey man, I saw a UFO. Well, you did? Yep, I got video of it. I go, whoa, shit. Let me see your phone. And someone shows me on their phone and they're describing to me what they saw. And I see it. I go, oh, wow, you really do have video of it. That's amazing. That's called evidence. That's important. So a lot of this giant stuff, I want it to be real. I'm very intrigued by it. I think it's awesome. Gotta have evidence.
Large bones that certainly belonged to giants, at least for their time. One more recent discovery was that of the ancient skeleton of an individual who likely possessed gigantism, found near Rome in 1991. At the time of the discovery, it was noted that the tomb being excavated was unusually long. Upon analysis, the individual's bones were found to be exceptionally large. This prompted a medical investigation, which concluded that the individual must have suffered from gigantism, causing his early death between the ages of 16 and 20. The estimated height of the Roman giant is 6 feet 8 inches, which compared to the 3rd century Roman average height of around 5.5 feet would undoubtedly have been considered gigantic. Lovelock Cave Giants. Lovelock Cave, previously known as Sunset Guano Cave, is located in a remote area of Nevada. Thanks to the unique treasures preserved inside, it has attracted the attention of archaeologists since its discovery in 1911. That year, 2 miners were hired to recover bat guano from the cave, and after removing a layer estimated to be 3 to 6 feet deep, they began to come across unusual.
What is the importance of bat guano? I personally, I really don't know. I've heard of like fertilizer or whatever. But look, if you know, please leave a comment down below. Like, I'm being serious. I'm asking. That's my interesting question. What is the importance of bat guano? Like, what does it do? I would really like to know. Please leave me a comment below.
Artifacts. While their initial excavation was unprofessional and resulted in many damaged artifacts, it was clear that Lovelock Cave held a special significance. The first recoveries consisted of intricate items, weapons, tools, woven duck decoys, and primitive items of clothing, as well as bones said to belong to giants. One local legend offers an explanation for the significance of the cave. According to this legend, all of the local tribes, after years of internal warfare, joined forces to rid their land of a race of giants known as the Sea-Tika. They chased these red-haired giants, which they referred to as barbarians, to a cave where the giants took refuge. When the giants refused to come out and fight on even ground, the tribes used smoke to drive the creatures out into the open, where they were massacred with arrows or burned alive. While it has been widely reported that the remains of 2 giants were recovered, including a male who had measured over 8 feet tall, this evidence has since vanished. Adding additional weight to the old tribal legend of the barbarian giants.
I don't know if it's the Hopi. It could be the Hopi. I don't want to say it is. But I remember hearing, like this story, the red-haired giants. And the red-haired giants would come down and they would eat, like capture Native Americans to eat them. And these are supposed to, supposedly giant human beings. They had red hair. And I even heard like stories they had like 6 fingers. That like they have an extra digit or something on their fingers, and they would come down and they would eat like eat the Native American people, and they got tired of it, and they started fighting back, and they literally like that. This is where supposedly the Native Americans became warlike, was to fight these giants, red-haired giants, and this is where they learn to become warlike. Was to kill these giants. You know, I remember hearing that. I think even ancient aliens kind of dealt with something like that.
Is the fact that a sandal measuring 15 inches long was amongst the artifacts found in Lovelock Cave. Gigantopithecus blacki. Perhaps the most scientifically sound account of real-life giants is that of history's largest hominoid, Gigantopithecus blacki, which may have stood at 10 feet tall. This ancient species of giant ape roamed the world a few 100,000 years ago alongside our own evolutionary ancestors, and is estimated to have weighed an incredible 1,000 pounds. Most Gigantopithecus blacki fossils have been recovered from China, where certain caves and geological formations have created conditions in which biological materials are naturally preserved. Because of this natural preservation, analysis of the Gigantopithecus blacki's jaws and teeth have enabled scientists to be relatively confident in their estimates of its mass and dimensions. The discovery and size of this species have been cited by cryptozoologists to justify theories supporting the existence of a Yeti or Bigfoot-like creature. But the Gigantopithecus blacki is not a creature of folklore or mythology, and the fact that this giant once walked the earth is confirmed. However, with the discovery of this beast being so modern, the first formal discovery and naming of the species occurred in 1935, one wonders what another century of excavation and discovery might yield. We have a new...
So, I mean, my final thoughts. I've heard, um, you know, scientists. I think, what is it? I think anthropologists, um, or people who study species of ape and so on and so forth. They have literally come out and said that there's so much forest, there's so many areas in the world, period. Not just in this country. There are parts of this country that have never been touched by human beings. They never even explored, they've never ventured into those areas. So they say it's very possible that, a Bigfoot like creature could exist. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying that they say that it's possible that it could exist. Um, so I mean, if Bigfoot exists and it wants to be left alone, okay. I just say leave it alone. Leave it alone. Wants to come out, wants to communicate, wants to, sing a song and a dance, whatever. Yeah, that's fine. When Bigfoot's ready, that's what I say. It'll come out. Um, I'm not saying that that this species doesn't exist. I'm saying it's a very good possibility. I would say extraterrestrial intelligent extraterrestrial life is far more likely to exist than Bigfoot. But you know what? Wherever it keeps us going, I'm intrigued by Bigfoot. I'm intrigued by extraterrestrials. I'm intrigued by the paranormal. I'm intrigued by a lot of things that I don't necessarily proclaim that I know for a fact, but they do intrigue me. So, let's be intrigued. It's cool. It's really cool to kind of question things and on what exists and what doesn't exist. I enjoy it, and and if you guys enjoy it too, smash that like button. Give me the likes, subscribe up if you enjoy this video. I really appreciate you guys, joining me, and um, I appreciate the support. You know, um, share the video too. If you know friends or family members who enjoy this type of content, then share it. But on that note, I'm gonna leave you guys with the signature. Peace. And love too.